So here we are for how to escalate. Basically, this will be a mix of multiple things. Here we are going to focus on the non-verbal way to do it. We're going to focus on just non-verbal. When it comes to the verbal, we're going to see it right after. But first, the non-verbal, which is actually the most important. It will be a mix of multiple things. I have created a step-by-step process that you just have to follow, and which is just conceptualization of what we naturally do when we escalate, no matter how we do it. This will almost always follow this step-by-step process. So it's not like some technique, it's more a modelization of what is already being done when you naturally escalate. So there is a first part and a second part. There is 6 steps in total. Let's start with the second part, which is the real escalation. There is 3 steps in this one. The first one is just to start creating the state of absence of parasite thought, as we talked about. It is just about having intonations, type of intonations and rhythm. Intonations and rhythm of voice. A bit like I'm doing now. It can sound very cliche, but the fact of having a certain rhythm, like this one, certain intonations. Do you see this kind of sensual voice like this? As we talked about before, this is a tool that human beings use in order to draw each other into a way more present state, in order to focus. When you're doing that, what might be the reason why you're doing this? Either you want to hypnotize someone, either you want to make them relax, either, you want to make them relax, but for what? Why? Basically, if you're doing that with a girl, it means you want to create the space for the arousal, the sexual arousal to manifest. That's what you want. It's like creating the space, in the head so that it can happen. So when you do that, what it shows is that you want to create the arousal now. So this is like the first step of the second part. We will see the first part later. So it has this purpose. So when you do it, first it creates the right state for the arousal to happen. But at the same time, it gives the informations. I want to make the arousal happen now. This is time. Let's do it. Let's bring the sexual arousal. And actually, that's what any man will do that when they escalate, really. If they do it in a way, as I said, you can touch the girl as much as you want. If you don't do this, if you don't create the space, the mental space for the arousal to manifest, there will be no arousal. And this is where creepy kino happen. This is where creepy touch happens. This is like the man is talking with the girl and he starts touching. But it doesn't serve anything because there is no arousal behind. It doesn't create any arousal. And remember, why do we escalate? For the arousal. So when the man is doing this, the only thing that it shows is that the man is trying to copy. He's trying to copy past what other men are doing. He saw that men escalate. Maybe he saw on some website that we need to escalate. So he thinks, okay, if I want to take things further with this girl, I have to escalate. So he does it, he touches. But it doesn't create arousal because he doesn't create the state for the arousal to happen. And so what does it do? It just shows to the girl that he doesn't even understand what's behind this idea of touch. He just does it because he saw that it's what's supposed to happen. But she knows that he doesn't understand. And then it's not genuine. It's not authentic. He doesn't really want to do it. He just does it because he saw that it's what is required to be done. But if there's no arousal that happens when you touch her, then it doesn't have any interest. It will just be weird. It's just extremely weird. I've seen many guys do that, and it makes me cringe. It's very cringy, and it makes girl cringe as well. If you want to go to the escalation, the physical escalation, that needs to be the space, the mental space. Just as we said before, you have a voice way more calm, chill. Do you see what it does? Can you get the point? Can you see this kind of atmosphere that it creates? It doesn't create any atmosphere for real. The thing around us doesn't change. What it changes is your state of mind. It makes you more focused on the outside and way less on the inside. Maybe you don't fully get this because there is a screen between us, so it doesn't work so much. But in your real life, this is funny. I've done a lot of coaching, and this is funny when men ask me, yeah, Alex, can you sexualize with me, please? Show me how you would, how would you escalate in this case? So I can show a lot of things, right? But I always do the same thing. I just look at them with a smile like this, and I start talking like this. Right? What do you want me to do exactly? I just do this, for example, and all the time they are like, "Oh, this is so sexual." Yes, this is very sexual because this is what we naturally do when we want to create the state for the arousal to happen. So what it means is just, okay, let's create the space for the arousal to happen. If you don't do that, there is no arousal. It doesn't work. You can escalate like a crazy monkey. If the space for the arousal is not created, no arousal happen. So there is no point. So this is like the first thing. And the simple fact of doing it, first it creates this state, but as well, it gives the information that you want to create the state. And so what happens? What happens is that now she thinks, oh, okay, so this is what he wants. And so now she starts to interpret everything you're doing as something sexual. And so now she have in her imaginary, she has escalation happening in her imaginary, which basically creates the arousal. So you create the state, and at the same time you create a form of escalation in the imaginary. So this is the first step of the second part. The second step is to actually escalate, actually do it. Not only in the imaginary, but actually do it. But not to the point of touching. It will just be about proximity, being very close, right? Being like really, really close, a sexual proximity. That's like the second step of this process. Every step is built upon the previous one, right? Does it make sense? So when you do this, you keep having those intonations, you keep having that rhythm, those poses, as I'm doing now. You will get closer, okay, right? Sexual proximity. You keep behaving in a way that at the same time that you escalate creates space for arousal. Just as I'm doing now. It's just a way to hypnotize. It's like we want to have fun with the arousal, so let's help each other to get in the state for it. This is why we do this. For example, what can be very sexual as well, for example, in the same idea, is to move in a certain way like this. I've had a woman say this during dates. Just by talking, we would just talk like this, and out of nowhere the tone changes. The voice, the rhythm. We just keep talking, looking in the eyes, but I talk this way, and this is just the way I naturally behave now when I want to escalate, because it just became so obvious that this is what we have to do. So I just do this, and I move my hands and my body in a certain way, very controlled and slow with some rhythm, like this. Not as a technique, but just because I want to get aroused. And if I want to get aroused, I need to be in a present state. So I use my body and my voice as an external tool to help myself to get into the state. And as a side effect, it helps her as well. And those women that would say that, oh, can you stop talking in this way and behaving in this way and moving your body and your hands in this way, because I'm so wet right now because of this. Just because of the ability to create the state from which the arousal can manifest. And then from there, her imaginary will create the picture of escalation by itself. So she gets aroused by herself. Then level 2 is to actually escalate. Not only in the imaginary, but actually do it. An example of what she can imagine. For example, you're talking like this and you're looking in the eyes. When she looks in your eyes, she can't help, because of the way you're talking, to think about as if you were already having sex. She will not imagine you having sex with her, but she can just take this part out of the scene, your eyes, and picture that in another context where you are inside her. That's kind of what happens. And that creates this imaginary thing of escalation. Okay, level 2, escalation, as I said, just way more proximity, sexual proximity. And you keep doing what you did before, which is creating the state for the arousal to happen. Okay, so this is the second step. And then the third step is actual touch. Like touch however you want. It goes from just a little touch like this to having sex actually. This is all the last step. And we are going to make exercise later to help you develop this and know how to do it. You will love it, you will see. So now, as I said, this is the second part of escalation. There is a first part which comes even before. This first part is about giving the information that you would like this sequence to happen. Well, the sequence we just talked about, 1, 2, 3, those steps. This is clearly the natural sequence of escalation. Or more precisely, this is the natural sequence of making sexual arousal happen, which is the thing that we want. Remember, this whole part is about sexual arousal. The reason why we escalate is for the sexual arousal to happen. Remember, if you touch, you can even, I don't know, do very sexual thing physically. But if there is no sexual arousal that happens in the body, there is no interest in doing this. There is no mean in doing this. It doesn't have any meaning to do it. This is for the sexual arousal. And so the first part is just about conveying the information. I would like this sequence to happen. The arousal. Right. So the second sequence was about actually making it happen. The first part is about just conveying the information. I would like this to happen. And once again, there is 3 steps to it. The first step is, the step 0 is just nothing, or just talking like a friend zone, like you're talking to a friend. And actually, you can try this with a friend. It's very funny. It works with men as well. If you look at a man like this, you let pauses. You have a sensual voice. Your sound, you accentuate them. they will think you are gay as fuck. They will think you are extremely gay because it's just extremely sexual. The only other cases where someone would do this, it's if they want to hypnotize you. Like you go to a show, he says, okay, you come in front of everybody, I'm going to hypnotize you. He will be talking like this with you. Think about this. Because he wants to hypnotize you. But if it's not what you're trying to do when you're talking to a woman, she knows you're not trying to hypnotize her. So the only possibility is to create the state for sexualization. For arousal, sorry. So yeah, the level 0 is nothing. Level 1, step 1 of this first part would be to just keep eye contact. Because eye contact as well is necessary for this state to happen. Really, it's not enough. You need to combine this with rhythm and sensual voice and accentuate. Okay, but this is like the beginning. It can't happen without this. Or in some cases it can. But if you are, you would need to be very close. For example, if you are let's say it happens a lot, you're walking with a woman and you're very close, like your shoulder almost touch. You talk and then you talk in that way that we just talked about. Now, because there is some level of escalation, like there is the voice that creates the state, there is the thinking, it creates arousal. Now, if you have some distance, because we are at step 1 of the first part, there is no proximity, you have a normal distance. Even if you use that voice now and you look away, it doesn't work because it will just... There needs to be a minimum of focus for this to work. And you create that by eye contact. Eye contact creates a sense of threat. We talked about it before. It creates a sense of threat. Okay, this person is observing me. This person is being conscious of everything I'm doing now. So my ego is in the line. My ego is in the line, basically. They can judge me now. So it creates a sense of threat, which then allows for the flow state. Threat is good. It depends what you do with it. It can be extremely good in social interaction. We use it all the time. So there is this sense of threat when you look in the eyes, which creates then a focus. Because when there is a threat, remember, you don't have time for bullshit. You're just like, okay, now, remember, if this is, if the challenge is too big, for example, if you have social anxiety and someone looks at you right in the eyes while talking with you, you get anxious as fuck because now you're not focused on dealing with the situation. You're just focused on, fuck, how do I live? How do I get out of this trouble? So now you're stressed. This is why we talked about leading, about this tone of voice. Imagine you look in the eyes. Okay, imagine you have social anxiety. You're a man, so it doesn't work, but you're talking to a woman. She has social anxiety. But she's attracted to you, but she has social anxiety. So if you look at her in the eyes, she will be stressed. It will be anxious. But at the same time, you have proximity. You have this way of talking. As we talked before, we just creates a kind of hypnotic state that we want to have in the interaction, the poses, etc. And at the same time, you are leading. So you are asking the question, you make her do things, you will lead the interaction. Now there is actually a lot of outside help for her to not go into her parasite thought, to just get drawn into what's going on and not have parasite thought. There is just too much. There is eye contact, the hypnotic way of talking. She's getting lead. You're leading things, so she just has to do it. The proximity, so it creates the arousal as well. And also a kind of sense of tension, of threat. Once again, if over this you bring what is going to be very useful later, which is pattern interrupt. Now there is just no way. There is no way she's going to suffer. She's going to feel anxious. She just doesn't have time. This is like hypnotizing someone, actually. And this is the really high level of approaching people. This is approaching people in a way that makes them in the state of hypnosis. Actually, that's what is going. We don't want to hypnotize people, but this state is something that we want, actually. Actually, I want you to hypnotize me because it feels amazing. This is the best state. This is just when you meditate, you get into a kind of state of hypnosis. You're so focused. Everything is perfect. There is no problem. If you approach me in a way that puts me in that state, I will love you forever. This is the same with everybody. Remember, we want happiness. That's what we want. If you can approach people in a way that creates this, you're just creating free happiness for them. This is perfect. This is what we want. Okay, so first level is look in the eyes and actually be in front of the people. Because what you will do if you are somehow a beginner with this, if you approach a woman, you will feel this tension. There is a threat in the fact of looking in the eyes, and this is a challenge. If this is too much for you, you will not be focused on doing it, you will be focused on escaping it. And so you will want to release this threat. So you will just turn your body a little bit. You will get on the side. Imagine that in front of her there is a line. If you want to escape the challenge, you will get out of the line and you will talk from out of the line. That's what you will do. But this is very bad because once again, precisely it breaks the challenge. It breaks the threat. And so it breaks even the ability to create arousal. Because remember, we are not Buddha, woman. There is a high chance that most of you watching this are interested in women who are around 20 and 25 years old. They are not Buddha neither. They need help to get into an aroused state. They want the arousal. Remember the part about the sexuality. They want the sexual arousal when they talk with men. Why in parties, when women, they get drunk and then they get very sexual with every man? They want the sexual arousal, but we are so bad at having the state of mind that allows us to not have parasite thoughts, like when you get in the bed and you can't get hard. We are so bad because we are not Buddha, we are not meditating 3 hours a day. So we need outside help. For example, alcohol. Yeah, why everybody takes alcohol? But actually there is other way to do it. And this is a natural way, this sense of threat which creates the flow state. Another thing would be momentum, but we will talk about this later. So this is the first thing, to be in front, on the same line and looking in the eyes, not breaking the eye contact. This is like the level 1 thing. Then level 2, it will build upon this one. Remember, you have to keep doing this. Now you might think, okay, so I have to interact with this woman the whole way without breaking eye contact. And by staying in front, whoa, it's weird. I will feel so much tension. Yeah, brother, exactly. That's what you want. Hey, we want sexual arousal. We told it. That's what we want. It's one of the main positive values of the interaction. Yeah, there is no way around. There is no way around. You can't win this game if you are not inside the tension. The question now will be, will you try to escape the challenge, or the challenge will help you to get into the right state? That's a question to think about. But we will work on it, don't worry. We will work on it and it will be fixed from the end of the course. Don't worry about this. So second level is actually facial expression. Facial expression, which means the same thing, which means I would actually like the arousal to happen. I would actually like to make this second sequence happen. If you don't know how to do this, it will become more and more natural with time, but there is multiple way to do it, as we said, for example, looking in the eyes, letting some pauses, the rhythm, the voice, blah blah blah, getting closer. This is all indication that you want this to happen. But you can do it with the facial expression as well. And one very powerful way to do this is just to look like this, having this way of looking like as if you're playing with a toy, as if you're playing with a little toy. Actually, why is it like this? Because believe it or not, and you will have no choice but to believe it because it's true, the sexuality between man and woman is a lot about dominance. Woman gets extremely sexually aroused by being dominated, even psychologically. It's a lot psychological. They say it. Yeah, this man is too nice. I need a real man. I need a man who is strong, who can handle me. Yeah, they want to be psychologically dominated. Basically, that's how it works. That's how nature is done. When you have this way of being amused, the first man who ever coached me, it was in France. He told me of this trick to look at her in a way that means I know your secret. And actually, one of the first women I had sex with, it was at a party with a social party. And at some point I was on a couch and there was a woman sitting playing a game with other. And I remembered these advices that I had heard the same day. And I thought, let's apply. So I started looking at her like this with a smile, which means I know your secret. And at some point, she noticed me, she looked at me. I felt a lot of tension, but I didn't break it, remember. Will the tension, the threat, make you want to escape or help you to focus? I kept the tension, I kept looking at her like this. After 3 seconds, she turned her head back. We never talked of the party. It was, 4 or 5 years ago. I was a real beginner at that point, but I just applied this. 2 days later, I was at the library and I get a text from her on Facebook Messenger. She was not even my friend. I didn't know her, never talked about her. She was like, hey, how are you? How are you doing? We started talking and she was like, yeah, do you want to have a drink tonight? I'm like, okay, we go have a drink outside. Then we go home, we have sex. I was like, what the hell is going on? Everything was so smooth. She almost did everything. And at the end, I asked, why did you send me this text? And she told me, actually, there was this moment in the party last time when you looked at me in a way that really got me excited, sexually aroused. I can't explain it. I just got aroused. And I didn't even know how it worked. I just applied the advices to think, yeah, I know your little secret with this smile. Because it's basically psychological dominance. It's like, okay, I know your secret. It's a trick to be able to do it without feeling bad. But the more you evolve, the more you become confident in your sexuality and in your ability to be dominant and in the fact that women love it, the more you will start to do it naturally. Because what happens is that, for example, now, every time I talk with a woman, unless I'm very stressed, but as a default, I will always have this kind of facial expression on my face. Why? Because I am amused by the idea that I am somehow dominating her. Because now I have a lot of skills with women. So when I talk with the woman, I know how to make things come up. I know how to create the sexual arousal. I know how to make the game happen, that she want it or not. So I have naturally this thing on my face where I'm very amused. I'm like, yeah, I get the game. I know what I'm doing. I have like this almost sadist thing on your face, like, yeah, I'm playing with my little puppet. And actually, this is something that Sexuality is made this way. Men want to dominate women, and women want to get dominated by the men. And believe it or not, you will see it as a true no matter what. And actually, every time a woman has told me, yeah, I am not like this, I don't like that, yeah, bullshit. Then you get in the bed, you do it right, and she's like, oh my god, it was the best of my life. Yeah, really, this is not even funny how this is the case for everybody. This is as if we say, yeah, a human being, they like to breathe. Yeah, now imagine someone comes and is like, yeah, no, me, I don't breathe. Bro, bullshit. You're human. You work like everybody. Just how it is. And now we have choice. Either we view it as something bad, either we view it as something amazing. And it actually is amazing because it has to be like a game. You are not really doing something negative. You are not dominating in a way that is negative. You are dominating in the context that she wants it as well. She wants to be able to get dominated and to let you dominate. That's what they want actually. Sometimes what happens, I didn't notice it back in the day, but sometimes I would talk with women and they will get somehow a bit aggressive with me, like starting to be a bit mean and things like this. And what I would notice with time is that they would do it because they like me, and so they want the sexual arousal to happen. They want it, but they know that it can't happen unless I'm somehow dominating. And so they start to get a bit mean with me. They put friction so that I get a bit angry, and so that I start to be aggressive as well and to dominate. Verbally, psychologically. It happens a lot actually. Now, if you misinterpret situation, you will do this with women who are mean because they don't like you and they want you to go away, and now this is bad. But once again, I will give you the step-by-step process by the end, so it will not happen. So here as well, in the steps, I will give you some tips to know when you can go to the next step, so you don't rush it. For example, you will not go to the escalation part if this is not time, I will give you indication. So this is step 2. This is a facial expression like this. And if you don't see how to do it naturally by yourself, think about this tip. And the third point is wait. Third point is proximity, as well as we saw in the second part, but proximity. This time not sexual. This is not sexual proximity. This is man to woman proximity. This is what we want. Man to woman proximity, which is not the same as sexual proximity. Let's put it this way. Imagine at what distance you would talk with a woman if it was friend zone. This is friend zone. You talk to this distance. Basically what men do when they approach a woman, for example, in the street, they are at the minimum at this distance, and most of the time they are even further. Whoa! Shit. And most of the time they are even further from the woman because they think, oh, I don't know her, this is in the street or in the club, I don't know. I have to not put too much pressure. But remember, if there is no pressure, there is no arousal, there is parasite thought. If there is no pressure, there is boredom as well. There is a lot of negative. Pressure is necessary because if you were approaching Buddha, you don't need to do this. They can do it by themselves. They don't need you to help them. They don't need to get helped by pressure, to be pressured into presence. They don't need that. But the woman you approach, they are not Buddha. They are just women. Normal women, right? As smart as they might be. You are not Buddha. I am not Buddha. I need help from the outside. I need a challenge. I need the threat. I need the tension to help me, boom, focus and not have parasite negative thoughts. This is the same. So when you're thinking, okay, I will have some distance, you are creating suffering for her because now She doesn't have access to sexual arousal. This can be boring. She can have social anxiety, so she can think, I'm anxious. Now you're not leading as well, basically, if you're doing that, because if you lead, you will lead as well by escalating. So you're not leading, so she has too much choices to make, so she gets very anxious. Bro, this is really not the thing to do if you want to help people. If you want to approach a woman in the way that doesn't make her suffer, you really have to not be too far away. This is counterintuitive. But by actually being too far away, you're creating suffering. And even if she has no social anxiety, she will be bored. She will be bored. She will be bored. She's not Buddha, she gets bored. At the same time, if she gets approached by a man, how interested she is in the interaction will be defined by how much positive value she can get, right? How much happiness is contained in the act of interacting. As we said, one of the highest positive value we can get from this is sexual arousal, right? So by having the distance, moreover than all the things we already said, she doesn't have access to sexual arousal, so it can be boring. And moreover, sexual arousal needs alphaness to happen. Remember the potential. Even if you escalate is just what will actualize your sexual mating value into actual arousal. But you need to have that value, right? And how do you convey this value? Remember, one of the most important thing is the alpha vibe. This is your vibe, right? So your behavior. And one of the main thing of the alpha vibe, the most central, what is that? The fighter vibe, remember. Moreover, the sexual preselection vibe as well. And if we have also the social preselection, then we have this thing of leading. And all of those, they all get generated by the fact that you escalate. If you escalate without needing to see if this is safe or not, it conveys this high sexual mating value and thus the potential for arousal. So by having distance, by not escalating, she doesn't have access to arousal. She doesn't even think that she will have access in the future because first she thinks you are not very alpha, you don't really have a very alpha vibe. Unless you really have some other things very mastered, but even this, if you don't escalate, this is not alpha no matter what, really. So you're not alpha, so even if you escalate later, it will not be arousing because you're not alpha. Even more than this, even if she thinks that somehow you are because you have mastered some other things, even in that case, she will think, yeah, but at the end of the day, he doesn't lead. He doesn't lead for all the reasons we saw. It's going to be very hard to get aroused and also just he will not escalate. Not that much. He will not escalate by himself. He will not escalate when he leads. So yeah, it will just not happen. So she gets really not interested in this value container which is talking with you. So she just gets bored, she wants to leave, and you're not doing her any good, really, if you don't escalate from the start. And the first thing is just to look in the eyes, be in front, facial expression as we saw, and the third step, proximity man to woman. So this is the distance you would have with the friend zone thing. This would be sexual distance, like distance to the face like this, and the body, like her body is here, very close, really like this. You could even as if you're hugging, like really close, right? So this is friend zone distance. This is the distance that some men have when they approach friend zone, sexual, and here we have like man to woman. So this is not yet sexual, but this is not friend zone. This is not friend. This is in between. Like, yeah, this is This is not yet about bringing the sexual arousal, but there is the idea. There is the idea. And as well, you bring some tension here again. There is some threat. I'm not talking about physical threat, but more about like with the eye contact. Oh, this person is really observing me. This person is really being conscious of me right now. So if I do something weird, all his attention is on me now. So there is a lot of risk at stake. My ego is in the line. This is the threat. When it comes to the physical threat, we don't want that actually. Physical threat. The only case where we would want something like this is within a role play, within a game, as if you're playing a game. For example, you make a joke about having a verbal fight, for example, with a woman, and you're laughing about it. But that's a game, you know. It's not. She doesn't really think, "Whoa, he's being aggressive for real." This is extremely bad. If this happened, this is really bad. This is basically this is about police, you know. This is not good, and I don't want you to do that. I'm never going to tell you to actually make something like this happen. This is a bad thing. Do you want some? Okay, right. And then once you are at this third step, then you go to next part, which we saw at the beginning. So 4, 5, 6, and you have the sixth step, and at the end is the touch, which goes from just little touch to foreplays. Okay. Now you're going to think, okay, but I saw some very advanced guy, they touch from the beginning. Or some guy, they come from the beginning to, you talked, Alex, you told, come from the beginning to very sexual proximity. How does that work? Actually, what is happening when this happens, what is happening when this is being done, is that the steps are being passed very fast. Remember, leading. This is the concept of leading. You just go up the step without asking for permission. But, as I said, this works only if this is actually what the person wants. And for this, you need either to be extremely attractive and know what you do. Either you need to be able to see extremely fast that she actually wants it. And this will come either with experience, because the more experience you have, the more you can see faster the signal. Either it will come from having a high number of moments of consciousness per second, because then you can think very fast. Everything, you're like a cyborg, like a Robocop. You have all the information that appear very fast, okay? But what are the signals? Basically, the more you evolve, the more it will become intuitive and non-apparent. It will be very subtle details. For example, there could be even a woman who is not looking at you, who looks angry. It looks like she wants you to leave, but actually she wants you to escalate. This can happen, but this is very tricky, because actually if you escalate in this kind of case and you are wrong and she didn't want it, now this is really bad to have done it, really. So this is why the only case where I would say to men, okay, follow your intuition, and if you think that it's the case, do it. This is men who already have a lot of experience. For other, I will give very precise signals. For example, if she looks at you in the eyes with a smile, it means she doesn't have parasite thought. It means she is being a bit aroused, even if it's not sexual, emotionally she is. It means she likes you, she's interested in you, she's attracted. Basically, it means if you go to the next step, it will be fine. So this is the first signal I give. Like if you are a virgin, or if you have had sex with like less than 5 women, or you don't have much experience, this is very good signals to follow until you build some intuitions. Like by default, start at step 1, and every time you see this signal, she looks at you in the eyes and she smiles at the same time, you go to next step. If you still smile and you look at you in the eyes, you go to next step. And you keep going until the smile gets a bit different, or until this fades away, or she looks away, or the smile comes from this to, you know, you will see a bit of difference. Now, okay, now there is no more signal, I don't keep escalating, right? But you don't go backward the level after, you stay at the level you're at, unless now she shows clearly some signs that she's not okay with it. Now you will go back, but until you see that, you stay here, because this is where the sexual arousal happen. The higher you are, the more possibility for sexual arousal. Then, when you get more experience, you will first be able to see if she's interested or not in you, even if the signals are not so clear. But at the same time, you will be able, for example, to escalate in a way that is so smooth, in a way that is so confident. You will be able to lead in a way when you do it. When I mean escalate, I mean going those levels. Okay, going those levels. I all count them as escalation, not only the last part. All of this is escalation. You will be able, for example, to go from the level where you have the facial expression, the man-to-woman proximity, the look in the eyes, to next level of sexual proximity. But you will be able to do it in a way that is so leading, that is so confident, that it will actually be a way to create a pattern interrupt. To create, actually a pattern interrupt, a sense of challenge once again to face. And so it will bring her out of her parasite thought, if she has. Because even if she likes you, she might, and she wants you to escalate somehow, she might still not look at you in the eyes or not smile that much because she's stressed, right? At that moment, if you have that experience of being able to escalate in a way that looks very confident, and which creates a pattern interrupt, then actually escalating becomes the way to create what is necessary for her to want you to escalate. This is like a catch-22. And seduction at a very high level becomes a catch-22. Because, for example, for her to want you to escalate, she needs to be attracted to you. For her to be attracted to you, she needs to see that you are alpha, right? I mean, she needs to see you as alpha. That's the main thing, for her to want you to escalate. But in order for her to see that you are alpha and to think that you are, you need to do those things that we talked about. And one of the main things of the alpha vibe is that ability to escalate without needing to know if she's okay or not with it, right? But which means that you will actually escalate even if she doesn't really know if she wants it or not at that point. But the fact in itself that you escalate will bring the information that makes her want you to escalate. So it's a catch-22. By escalating, you create the want in her for you to escalate. You see how this works. But we have to not go too far in this. This is why there is those levels that I give you and that I tell you, okay, start at level 1. So there is a minimum of escalation. But if, start at level 1 with this minimum of escalation, and then you wait for the signals because you don't want to make a mistake. But the thing is that the more you go up the levels, the more you get experience. Like, for example, let's say you don't want to get in a relationship and you want to go to have experiences with a lot of women. You will get to a point where you have sex with more than 20 women, then 40, then 60, then at some point 100. Let's say that every 20 women, you get like one more point, which allows you to not have to wait for the signals in order to escalate more. So for example, if you have had 60 women in your life, you have 3 points, which means that right from the beginning of an interaction. You can actually go to level 4, which is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, which is eye contact, facial expression, man to woman proximity, and sexual intonation. So you will approach a woman like this, and all the way through this, all from the beginning, close proximity, eyes, smile like this, intonation. And yeah, it will work because at that point you have enough experience to be able to see in real time when you're doing it if there is some facial expression in her that shows that she doesn't want or something like this. Or even if there is, you know this thing about the catch-22, so you know if it's time to still do it or not, because sometimes you see that she doesn't want, but because she thinks you're not alpha, but by keeping doing it, now she's like, oh, finally he's alpha actually. I didn't think so, and so now she wants you to do it. There is like a catch-22. There is like a wall. But if I tell you to do this and you have had sex with less than 20 women in your life, you will definitely not have enough sexual and social intelligence to know this. And so I don't want you to do it. Follow the steps I gave. And the thing is that the more experience you get, the more you are able to see the signal, the subtle signal, and thus escalate very fast, even to the last level. This is how you can, for example, in the dance floor. The best thing to do, the ultimate way to approach a woman on the dance floor is actually to already have that ability, because the only way she's already having a lot of happiness. So think about the negative thing in the value container. This is the cost of opportunity. She's having a lot of happiness by dancing with her friend. If you come to talk to her, for her to not have a cost of opportunity which is bigger than talking with you, there needs to be a lot of happiness generated in the fact of talking with you. So there needs to be a lot of sexual arousal. There needs to be a lot of bringing attention in the thing. Like you make her moments of consciousness go up. So there needs to be this flow, this presence. So actually it would be about going right from the back with, for example, hand on the shoulder or even in the back, sexual proximity, talking very close in the ear with this intonation, right from the start. Boom! From the start, you're level 6. Now there is enough positive value in the fact of talking with you. But actually, this is very advanced. If you have no experience and you go do this, you will get blown out. Boom, like this. So there is a need to build experience for that. And before you have the experience and you can see the signal, just follow the thing I told you. Like she's looking at you and she's smiling. Okay, right. Perfect. We have everything. Now when it comes to the touch and what to do while you are doing this step, we are going to work on this with exercises later. I will give you exercises to learn how to basically touch, how to escalate in the physicality from touch to foreplay to even sex. I will give you exercise to learn how to do this. And as well those levels, there is another thing. You can as well invite her to escalate those levels as well. For example, you want to go to sexual proximity. One of the things that I love to do actually is, instead of me getting closer, and you just have the balls to do it, there is no searching for an excuse. Remember, alphaness. Yeah, I want the arousal to happen. And you don't think about the potential negative. You get closer, you just do it. And you own it. And if she's like, yeah, what are you doing? I'm creating arousal. What? Isn't it obvious? I'm creating sexual arousal. Oh, you don't like it? Sorry, I'm sorry. I couldn't know. That's a bit the mindset. You own it. No excuses. You just go for it. Yeah, I want to create sexual arousal. Let's do it. Right? But you can make her do it as well. So, for example, instead of me getting closer, what I love to do is actually lead as well in a way more effective way by taking her shoulder and getting her closer. Like taking her closer. And here again, calibration. When you do this, you see the signal. If you see that she contracts, then you stop. It means she didn't want. But you can know before, actually. The only way you can know before is if she's looking at you with the eyes like this, or if you have so much experience that you know. But if you don't have the experience, you don't know before. So just do it. Lead. You are at the level you're at. You have enough pawn to go for 1 or 2 steps further. When you feel it, just do it. You lead. And then either this will create the catch 22, which then makes her want it. She's like, oh, then, okay, right. He's leading. I mean, it's attractive. I like it. I'm getting aroused. Let's do it. Either you see that she contracts. She doesn't want. Then you calibrate. You're like, oh, I mean, you know how is the game like? It's catch 22. We have to make this happen, you know. So I couldn't know before. Basically, there's really nothing wrong. I mean, if you're not going too far relative to your level, if you were already at level 4 and you go for level 5, even if she doesn't like it, she can be mad at you. I mean, it's the game. That's how it is. She can be mad, you know. As far as you calibrate, she can be mad. And actually, even if it doesn't create happiness, at least it prevents from creating suffering, because if you don't do this thing, then it gets boring, the flow state goes away, there is no real challenge, so there is parasite thoughts that come up, there is no arousal that can happen, you are not proactively conveying your alpha vibe. So actually, even if she doesn't like it, it will not create happiness, but at least it will prevent from creating suffering. So in that way, she can't be mad at you. You're doing what you should be doing for her. And be confident in that. This is true. And yeah, so the last thing is you can make her do the thing. For example, you can even tell her, hey, get closer to me. For example, that would be a way to lead. And once again, this is a game. For example, when you say this kind of thing, when you talk in that way, giving some kind of orders. Yeah, do this. If you don't have a lot of sexual experience, actually, you can think this is an asshole behavior. Like, whoa, man, this is so disrespectful. Get closer. Who are you talking to? Bro, it's a game. It's a game. This is how sexuality works between man and woman. This thing of dominance. This thing of you're playing with your tool. So you have to get her, you're just doing it in this way, which is dominant, like, come closer. you just give the order. And if she understands that you're doing it as a game, that you're not really being disrespectful, that it's just a game, then now she can benefit from the arousal that is behind, from the leading, from the dominance. If you want to have more information about how to convey this, I had made a YouTube video about this paradox of, for example, saying something that looks like an asshole, but she knows it's a game. I have a YouTube video about it, so I will put it right behind this video. Whew, okay, right. So we have everything now for escalation. See you on next video about verbal escalation.